Welcome to PC Builder. I'm Jason. Today I'm super excited. It's the very first build for the channel. Today we're going to do a Black Friday special, a Ryzen 5 3600X 1080p screaming gaming rig, and a home theater PC. Really excited to unbox the parts, put it together, and run some benchmarks, so stay with us. Alright, so what's the goal for the build today? How do you make the decisions in order to get the best bang for your dollar? Recently we had Black Friday 2019, a lot of different deals going up and down. It's important to have a clear understanding of what you want your system to accomplish. In this case, this particular system is built to both be a gaming rig for more casual games, but maybe some other AAA titles, but also to be a home theater PC. Let's go over the parts list. How do we hit maximum frame rate at 1080p at high detail in all of our games right now and 3 years in the future? We're going to start with the CPU. The CPU we have today is a Ryzen 5 3600X. It's a 6-core, 12-thread chip. It costs $199. That's right, we got it for only $5 more than the Ryzen 5 3600 Non-X. What's the difference between the two? Well, you get a very slight overclock of about 200 megahertz versus the 3600. You also get a better binned chip, and you get the Wraith Spire cooler, which in testing that I've seen will reduce the temperature versus the Wraith Stealth that comes with the 3600 by about 10%, maybe about 6 or so degrees, and just brings it back into that really nice operating temperature. That's under full load, of course, running a Cinebench. We're going to be pairing that CPU today with pretty much the top of the line B450 motherboard, which is the MSI B450 Gaming Carbon Pro. For folks who want to buy into Ryzen 3 right now, it's even 6 months after the launch, it's still a jumble in terms of which exact B450 you want to get. None of them are the perfect motherboard, doesn't matter how much you want to spend. So I'm going to do another guide on how to pick the right B450 for you. The reason we went with the B450 Carbon Pro is that I'm coming over from an Intel platform. Maybe some of you are doing the same. If you don't have a second generation Ryzen chip to flash the BIOS, you definitely have to get something that you know is going to work out of the box. In this case, I went with the B450 Carbon Pro because it's got BIOS flashback. It's got the upgraded ALC 1220 audio. It's got 4 fan headers. It's got 2 M.2 slots. Just all around amazing motherboard. We were able to get that for $129. Typically retails for anywhere up to like $159, so we got that for $30 off. So graphics card. We went today with the 1660 Super MSI. Now driving our graphic, we're hitting 1080p. We're looking for 60 frames per second in all titles, both today and a couple years into the future. Value for the money. 1660 Super. I picked this card up for $219, Black Friday special, but you can typically get them for about $230 or $240. These cards deliver all the performance of the TI 1660 Ti line for essentially the price of the 1660 when it was first introduced. Storage options. This is one place where I did cheat just a little bit. Last Black Friday, I bought a couple of these 860 EVO by Samsung. Very good solid state drives, and this has been sitting in a box somewhere in my house for a year. So I decided, hey, you know, why don't we just throw this in the build and actually get some use for it? If I was building this now, I would probably go for an M.2 drive, and definitely an M.2 that's in the 1 terabyte in the 1 terabyte range. You can now regularly get them under $100. They're very well worth it. In this case, though, we're gonna recycle something from Black Friday last year that never got built on. For memory today, we've got 32 gigabyte of DDR4, 3600 megahertz memory. The reason we're going with 32 gigs, you certainly don't need 32 gigs, but the price of memory, many of you who build systems will probably remember this. Just 6 months ago, $109 for this memory for 16 gigabytes of it, that would have been a deal. Maybe a little high, but it would have been a pretty good deal. To get 32 gigs of it now, why not? Let's just take the opportunity to spend a little bit more money. Let's get 32 gigs in here. One of the things I'm most excited about this build, the case. Why? I mean, after all, it's a boring case, right? It doesn't even have an acrylic or a glass panel on it. So what's the big deal? Well, this is the Be Quiet Pure Base 500. Nice insulated sound foam in it. Great quality build. Comes with two pre-installed 140 millimeter fans. Pure Wings 2 dead quiet fans. The case has a little bit of a thermal issue, but as another YouTuber found out, all you would really need to do is either move one of the front intake fans and put it in the exhaust up here, or what we're going to do today is we're going to install an additional 140 millimeter fan. I got this case $59 at Newegg. This is typically a retail price, MSRP $90 case. Very, very excited about it. Powering our build, probably the least exciting part of the entire build, is the EVGA 80 Plus bronze power supply. It was on sale for 29 bucks. Can't really beat that. It's not the greatest power supply in the world. It's not the worst power supply in the world. It's going to be fine. For this kind of build, it's a little overpowered. But hey, no big deal. We're going to throw that thing in here. It's going to work great. All right, let's do it. Turned on. We're gonna now install some games, do some benchmarks, and let's see how it performs. Okay, first up we have Gears of War 5. As you can see from the benchmark, this is pretty much completely GPU bound, barely even really ticking the CPU at all. Hitting about 60 frames a second in the opening, and by the end of it we'll have built up to about 70 frames a second. Game looks really nice, optimized really well. Really runs really well on the 1660 Super. Again, we're just trying to hit 60 frames a second because that's the monitor we're pushing right now. And I suspect most of you who would build this rig and pick this card will be in the same boat. So we had an average frame rate of 70 frames per second and a 1% low of 50 frames per second. That exceeds our 60 frame per second average that we're looking for. That's the monitor we're pushing. And ultimately, this is a game that if you wanted to come down from ultra settings, you certainly could. Next up, we've got Borderlands 3. Everyone's favorite, not greatestly optimized game. So on the right-hand side, you're going to see what they've incredibly named, instead of ultra, it's the badass settings. And on the left-hand side, you can see something that I would probably play and most casual gamers would probably play. This is a high detail setting. Now, frankly, between you and me, I mean, you can see them side by side. If you can see the difference between the quote-unquote badass setting and the high setting, good luck to you. You must have better eyesight than I do. As you can see, I ran these on DirectX 11. I was having a lot of problems with dropping frames in DirectX 12. Apparently, that's symptomatic of the game. Overall, we ended up with a really good frame rate, again, on the high settings. The badass settings, you know, if you want to use them to take a screenshot or something like that, you could certainly do that. Honestly, I would just run the game at high and enjoy it, your 60 FPS. All right, as you can see on the badass settings, gosh, I really can't get over that name. On the ultra settings, at 1080p, we hit 50 frames a second. Not wonderful result. You know, we had a 1% low of 41. That's not bad. Under the high settings, though, again, that looked identical to me. You can be the judge. We had 66 average FPS with a 1% low of 52 frames a second. And finally, just because, again, this is going to be a casual gaming rig, World of Warcraft, Battle for Azeroth, it's been out for about a year or more. The next expansion is coming out. And if you're looking in these kind of titles like League of Legends and other similar titles to push, you know,
60 frames per second. That's pretty simple. You could, in fact, this is at the ultra settings. If you turn it down a little bit, you'd be able to run this on a 144 hertz monitor.
That's the end of our Black Friday build. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel. We're a new channel. We're still building subscribers. Every single one of those counts. And if you liked it, share it with your friends. Thank you very much.